Hello and welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are introducing our new stamp set and die set, year 7, which is in honor of Lawn Fawn's 7th birthday this year, and it is an adorable little piñata, so let's check it out. Here is that piñata. We also have a stamp with a bunch of little candy on it, and a little confetti stamp too. We have a sentiment that's all separate so that you can make it straight, or you could stack it just like this, but in this case I'm going to make it straight, and that says hope your birthday is a, and then we have the word smash, which is a super cute font. Next, I'm going to be using my Copic markers to add some color to this adorable little piñata, and what I love about this piñata is that you can make it any color that you want, so you can have it coordinate with a pattern paper or just whatever fun color combos in your head. So I just love that, and what I'm doing is just adding shading to the top of each layer of the piñata and then kind of blending it out into a lighter color. And then I'm taking those same colors and making sure to color in some of the candies with those colors too. That way my candy and my piñata will all coordinate. To finish in my images, I'm going to be using some of my favorite purple markers and just blending those out, creating it darker towards the inside and lighter towards the outside of the piñata. And then for one extra little detail, I am going to use a white gel pen to add little dots in all of those scallops, and I think it's such a cute detail. So here are the coordinating dies. You can bend them apart at the tabs or separate them with your wire snips. I'm going to take that die and line it up with my stamped image. I'm going to hold them in place with some low tack tape, and then I'm going to line up this other die, and you'll see that this die is going to cut out 3 candies for you at once, which I love because with this one you want to be able to cut a ton of candy for your card or if you were making a shaker card. So you'll see there's my little piñata all cut up, and then I've got 3 little candies all cut out too. And so I ran it through the machine again, and I have a ton of candies with just 2 die cuts. Here I have some watercolor wishes paper that I am going to cut with a zigzag square stackable, and then I am going to take a dotted square and cut that from some guava cardstock, and those two will layer together. Then I'm using some white cardstock, and I'm going to cut a fancy scallop circle and also a fancy folded banner too. Now I'm going to take the Hope Your Birthday Is sentiment. I'm going to curve it just a little bit on my block so that it matches that fancy folded banner, and I'm going to stamp it in some black licorice ink. I'll just line that up right on top. And then I can start to fold my banner. So I'm going to fold it in a Z shape, going back and then forward, and that's going to give it the nice 3-dimensional shape. So I'm going to go back just like that, and then I'm going to go forward. And so that banner I'll put on the card at the very end. Now I'm going to take my slide on over circle die, and this is the smallest one in the slide on over circles. I'm going to line it up with the top of my card. Now here you're going to see that I'm going to do something special. I'm going to take the top of that slider mechanism and put it on the outside of my cutting plate. That's because I only want to partially die cut this. So once I have that in the perfect position, I can then take some tape and just hold that in place. Then I'll take my other cutting mat and layer that on top. And because the top part of that die is outside of the cutting mat, it's not going to cut when I run it through the die cut machine. So here you'll see that I'm going to take it out, and when I remove the die, I'm going to have a partially cut slider track to make a really cool sliding piñata card. Now the last step I need to do is just trim out that track from the middle. So I'm going to take my scissors and just line those up just like that. And I'll be able to cut that piece out, and I'm going to save that piece for later, you'll see, but I'll trim it out and make sure to put it aside in a safe place. Once that piece is all trimmed out, I can work on more of my slider mechanism. So I am actually going to trim a piece to be about 3/8 of an inch wide of white cardstock, and this is going to be a part of this piñata slider. And then I'm going to stamp the rest of my sentiment, the smash part, at the bottom of the card in some black licorice ink. And then I'm going to double up some foam tape. So here you'll see I'm folding that foam tape in half and just gluing them together to get a nice thick piece of foam. And I'm going to start attaching the foam to the back of my slider piece. So I'm going to fill in that whole bottom part and also the sides. But then once I get close to the penny, I want to make sure that my pieces aren't going to get in the way of the penny. So I'm going to trim kind of about 1/3 of that doubled up foam and put that there. And you'll see I'm using the penny as a guide to make sure the penny isn't going to be in the way. So I'm going to trim some of that foam there and make sure the penny isn't hitting the foam. And then to help my penny blend into the background, I'm tracing the penny onto a piece of guava cardstock, and I'm just going to trim that out. And I'll cut around in that circle, and then I'm going to use some liquid glue to glue it to my penny. That way you're not going to be able to see the penny at all. It's just going to blend right into the background. So I'll add that liquid glue and just put that right on top of the penny, and then I'm going to make sure that I give that some time to dry before I start playing with it. Here I've selectively inked one of the little candies, and I'm going to stamp that on my smallest fancy scallop circle and color it in with my purple marker. And now I can adhere this to that 3/8 inch strip that we cut earlier. So I'm going to take that little fancy scallop circle and put that right on top. And now I can start to work with my penny. So I'm going to take a piece of doubled up foam, cut into a nice little rectangle there, add it to my penny, and place that in the back. Now I'm going to use my EK Success powder tool to add powder all around the edge of that foam tape to remove any stickiness so that it slides really, really well. I'll also use the EK Success powder tool and run it through the whole track too. So I'm going to add it all the way around in that track, and that really is going to make the penny move and slide really, really well. Now that I have my penny piece ready, I can finally remove all of that liner tape and adhere it to my zigzag rectangle. So once all of that is ready to go, I can line it right on top, sandwiching the penny between this slider track and the base of my card. Now after I put my whole thing together and I started moving that penny around, I started realizing it wasn't moving very well. And it's because I made my rectangle piece of foam just a little too long. So I'm just taking my scissors and trimming off a little piece of that rectangle foam. I'll just kind of rip it right off there, and you'll see now it's going to move so much better. So don't be afraid to kind of mess with that little foam piece until it moves really, really well in your track. Now I can remove the liner tape on top and attach this little piece that we were creating earlier that's going to be moving with the piñata. So I'm going to attach that right on top, and then I can attach my piñata. So you'll see I made my strip longer than I needed because I wasn't sure how long it was going to need to be. I'm making a little tick mark, and I'm just going to trim that right off right above that tick mark. And then I can add some tape to the bottom of that white piece and adhere the piñata on there. And now it's going to swing kind of like a piñata on a string. I just love seeing the piñata move. It's so cool. Now right now you can see that the track isn't quite blending in. So that little piece that we cut out and saved earlier, I'm just going to add a bunch of tape to that and just feed it right underneath that penny. And that's going to make the track disappear into the card. So you'll see how good that looks there. And now that my track is all working and kind of blending into my card, I can add some candies. So I'm going to tape these candies down all around the piñata so it looks like the candies are coming out of him. Now here I am recreating a card by my friend Jess, and she said I could recreate it for the video because I thought it was just so brilliant. So thank you so much to Jess. And now to cover up the top of that track, what I'm going to do is take that fancy folded banner, add some tape to the ends of the banner, and lay that right on top. And that really gives a nice seamless look to the track, and when you move the piñata it just looks really cool. Now here I'm going to create a 4" by 4" card base. I'll add some adhesive to that, and then I can layer that right onto the back of the card. And now you can see how fun this little slider is. So just watch this thing move. And all you have to do is just tilt the card and the piñata slides around, and it looks like that candy is just flying out everywhere. And I just think this would make anybody's birthday. It's just so cute and happy and fun. Now next up, I wanted to show you some cards made by the design team using this Year 7 set. And this first one here is by Nicole, and I love her pastel colors and that awesome confetti in that circle. And then this card by Melissa has the most beautiful ink background. It's just so gorgeous. I love how Elise used Quinn's ABCs to put the smash part of the sentiment. So cool. And Ivy created a really fun shaker with all of those candies and some sequins. I love that blue background that Elena created. It really makes a nice focal point for the image. And this pattern paper by Elise is way too cute. I love how she stamped that out. Shari made this amazing fringe that really goes along with the piñata theme. And then Kristen, I love how she drew that line in there to show the piñata kind of swinging across the card. And then I love how Yainea tied a little string and a bow on the card to have the piñata hanging. Letitia's card is so fun with that cool diagonal pattern. And I love Lizzie's background. That purple is so gorgeous. Lynette had an also amazing background. That watercolor looks so cool with this piñata. And then I love this take on it too with the little balloons. That's just so adorable. Nicole made this really incredible shaker. I love all that confetti and little beads and sequins in there and how she put the rest of the sentiment on the inside of the card. And then Audrey's card is just gorgeous. Those colors just blow me away, and I love how she combined it with some other fun images from different sets. So I cannot wait to see what you guys do with year 7, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching and have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!